Number 48. Still going strong, thanks to y'all. So, as usual, we got a great show tonight, and we're going to start off with our joke portion of the evening. So I know y'all have been thinking about it for the last 30 days, so who's got some jokes for us? Come on up here.
Why did the crook take a bath before he robbed the bank? Why? Because he wanted to make a clean getaway.
To the November 2016 Floyd Radio Show from right here on the famous stage of the Floyd Country Store, home of the Floyd Radio Show with live music and dancing, local food, clothing, gifts, and heritage music recordings in beautiful downtown Floyd, Virginia since 1909. We have a great show this evening, folks. We've got New York Times best-selling author Beth Macy. She's here to talk about her new book, True Vine. We also have Remnant of Men of Distinction from Roanoke, Virginia. And of course, we have the Earl White String Band from right here in Floyd. Folks, my name is Chris Trulson, and I'm with the band Bill and the Bells from Johnson City, Tennessee. And we are your hosts for the 48th episode of the Floyd Radio Show. A special thanks to our contributing writers, Rob Laprelle and Ralph Barrier Jr. This season of the Floyd Radio Show is brought to you by Peluso Microphone Lab, Hotel Floyd, and Chateau Morissette Winery, all from right here in Floyd County, Virginia. First things first, while we've got him up here, please give a nice warm welcome to the Earl White String Band.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to start this off with a tune I learned from a really, really good friend of mine. In fact, one of the best mandolin players I've ever heard, the late Kelly Perdue from the Charlottesville, Virginia area. It's a tune called The Lamb's Wool Rag.
Earl White String Band, everybody. We're going to take a little bit of time to meet Earl and talk with him for a little bit. Earl, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you've been playing fiddle music for a long, long time, dancing as well, and touring all over the country. You had quite a bit of time with the Greengrass Cloggers. Tell us a little bit about that troupe and kind of your start into old-time music.
Oh, well, the Greengrass Cloggers were a group that started initially as a bunch of college students at East Carolina University. And one of our good friends, Dudley Culp, went to a fiddlers convention and learned how to clog. And he came back and he's pretty much taught everybody living in the house how to do it at that time. Well, initially,
Step right up right there.
Initially, there was not the best response because none of us, me being from New Jersey, had ever seen this thing before. So to us, it would look more like...
It's pretty fancy.
Well, I've refined it over a few years.
Okay.
But anyway, as a result, a bunch of us, out of our enthusiasm, started getting together once a week, and what was born out of that was the Greengrass Cloggers. And in fact, we're coming up. We're having our, I think it's the 48th annual anniversary coming up. So
wow. Now I hear there's a dance step called the Earl, named after you.
There is a dance step, and fortunately, I was talking to this girl at a dance festival once. She was from Germany. Her name was Augie Bahn. And she learned to do the Earl in a bar in Germany, and I was blown away. But anyway, the Earl was a step that was born out of me not being able to do another step that someone brought to the group. As it was, I'll do a little demonstration here.
Yeah, let's
How
see
about
it,
that?
please.
Okay? Do you mind holding that for me?
Not at all.
So you have to picture, what I saw, the way that I actually saw myself doing this step was, you do the step, did our basic, and then you soar through the air. I'm still working on that part. So it's... That was the Earl.
Nice. And it has officially gone global.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Earl, you and your family have just relocated. You are fresh and new to Floyd. How long have you been in Floyd?
About almost 3 weeks now.
And
a little bit more than 2.5 weeks.
Well, welcome to Floyd. Everybody, please make welcome back Earl White String Band.
Can we play another one? All right. Hickory. Okay, this is one of the hardest tunes I know. It's called Hickory. Thank you.
Well, speaking of books, we are beyond honored to introduce our featured guest tonight. New York Times best-selling author Beth Macy is here with us tonight to tell us about her new book, True Vine. True Vine is the story of George and Willie Muse, two African-American brothers from True Vine, Virginia, about an hour due east of Floyd County, who were kidnapped and displayed as circus freaks, and whose mother embarked on an epic, decades-long struggle to get them back and to get justice for her family.
At the height of their fame, the Muse brothers played music for British royalty and headlined over a dozen sold-out shows at New York's Madison Square Garden. They were fine musicians and global superstars in a pre-broadcast era, but the very root of their success hinged on the color of their skin and in the outrageous caricatures they were forced to assume. Supposed cannibals, sheep-headed freaks, even ambassadors from Mars. Beth Macy is here with us tonight to tell us about True Vine and about the power of music in the Muse brothers' lives.
Such a fascinating story. Please make welcome Beth Macy.
Thanks very much. It's great to be back at the Floyd Radio Show. I'm going to read a little section from early on in the book, which talks about the importance of music in the Muse brothers' lives. Shortly after George and Willie Muse were kidnapped from Franklin County, Virginia, from True Vine, their sideshow manager told them to quit crying. They should stop begging to be returned home because, after all, he lied to them, their mother was dead. They were young teens at the time, still growing, and managers clothed them in the same pair of suits for 2 years until those suits were almost bursting at the seams. In the early days, George Muse, the older brother, comforted his younger brother, Willie, whispering that they would see their mother together again. To staunch the boredom, they sang songs to each other at night. The year was 1914. World War I was on, and they followed the news of it in the circus backyard, singing a popular Irish war anthem about missing home called It's a Long Way to Tipperary. When a rainbow appeared in the sky, it reminded them of their mother, who told them always to remember that's God's promise after a storm. They didn't know yet that their mother would risk her life 13 years later to win their freedom back. During those early years, they were exhibited as the Ethiopian monkey men, Darwin's greatest mistakes, Barnum's missing links, and Iko and Iko, the Ecuadorian savages. They were gawked at by thousands under sideshow tents across their country, while their mother had no idea where they were. Near the end of the Great War, their kidnapper and manager, Candy Shelton, handed them instruments. It was meant to be a joke, a photo prop. The instruments were placed in their hands for a souvenir postcard pose. Shelton assumed they had no marketable skills beyond their appearance. He had no idea they harbored the potential to hear a song one time and recreate it on just about any instrument they were handed. In the souvenir photograph, George and Willie looked to be in their late teens or early 20s. Posted under tent frames, Willie holds a banjo while George clutches a saxophone, a ukulele balanced against his knee. I've spent hours trying to suss out that photo, my favorite from the stack, seeking the opinions of historical costume, circus, and music experts alike. George's chin is raised almost defiantly, while Willie looks straight into the camera with confidence. His right hand is held in the playing style known as claw hammer, thumb out from the body of the banjo and fingers tucked. Popular among old-time mountain musicians, clawhammer is a style of playing first popularized in minstrel shows of the 1820s and 30s, in which players thumped their downstrokes on the strings. Plantation owners sometimes sent musically inclined slaves to New Orleans or New York to learn the violin for their cotillions. The earliest banjos, made of gourds, horsehair, and animal hides, were brought to the United States from Africa by slaves. But when slaves were alone in their quarters, African souls seeped into Irish fiddles, and a new style emerged. Minstrelsy was originally performed by white banjo players who copied black music and performed in blackface applied using the singed bottom of a cork. It grew out of the theatrical genre's encapsulation of both the white desire for and fear and loathing of African Americans. The caricature was a warped meshing of cultures that was as strange and unsettling as the sideshow itself. Minstrelsy began a slow decline with the advent of the 20th century, but it held on for a few decades in the rural South. It was quite popular, in fact, among blacks and whites in the Piedmont area of Virginia, where George and Willie were born. Musicologist Kenny Rohrer told me, clawhammer-style playing is what you would have heard in rural, isolated places that didn't have access to traveling medicine shows or vaudeville shows. What difference did the gift of music make in the brothers' lives? They still couldn't move about freely or go to school. They still signed their names with an X. They still were told that the person they loved most in the world, their mother, was dead. Their vision problems caused by their albinism were growing by the years, providing future circus pressmen with an endless array of night vision jokes. But from minstrelsy to American jazz, the mastery of music gave marginalized blacks a freedom and power that many white musicians of that era couldn't fathom. African Americans bent rhythms and upended traditional white tonal patterns. They threw in swoops, growls, slides, and glissandos, infusing the music with a passion and spirituality that made it uniquely their own. Rohrer told me it was music played by people who couldn't read or write their names, but they could play with more authority than anyone out there. And whether they were pretending to be from Ecuador or from Ethiopia, when they played it, George and Willie now had something that connected them, even obliquely, to their roots. It gave them something to do behind the scenes of the sideshow and in the cookhouse, dressing tents and stables where the show folks hung out. Music seemed to lessen the brothers' misery, and it made them special for something, finally, besides the strangeness of their skin. It gave them a skill that they would each carry with them, literally, to their graves. I'd like to introduce now my dear friend, baritone Fletcher Nichols of the gospel choir Remnants of the Men of Distinction, which is based in Roanoke, my hometown. Ladies and gentlemen, the Remnants.
Our first piece tonight is an African-American spiritual or slave song. It speaks of slaves that were really determined to be free no matter what their circumstances. So it was a song of determination. It's called "Oh Freedom." Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. I'm singing, oh, oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. And there'll be no more crying, no more crying, no more crying over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. And there'll be no more dying, no more dying, no more dying over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. And there'll be singing, they'll be singing, yeah, they'll be singing over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. and there'll be shouting.
They'll be shouting.
Oh,
They'll be shouting over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
And they'll be praying.
They'll be praying. They'll be praying over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. And go home to my Lord and be free. And go home to my Lord and be free. And go home to my Lord and be free. And go home to my Lord and be free.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This next song is about an opportunity for African Americans during the turn of the century to be liberated by the Christian faith. And so this song is called Wade in the Water. It's what happens when African Americans went down to the pond or the shores of small ponds in the rural areas, and they were baptized, and they felt that the Holy Spirit actually visited them, that the waters were troubled. And so this song is about troubling waters. I'll find it in a minute here. Wade in the water.
Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Why don't you wade in the water? Come on and
wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Why don't you wade deep down in the water? Come on and wade
in the water, my children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Look at those children, all dressed in white.
My God's gonna trouble the water.
I said they look like the children of the Israelites.
God's gonna trouble the water.
Come on and wade deep down in the water. Come on and
wade in the water, my children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Look at those children, all dressed in black.
My God's gonna trouble the water.
I said they look like the enemy and they're turning back.
My God's gonna trouble the water.
Why don't you wade in the water? Come on and
wade in the water, my children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Keep a troubling.
God's gonna trouble the water. 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 God's gonna trouble.
This last one for this set is a piece called, which one is it? I Need the Lord. And it was just a song that was, I guess, people crying out, saying that they needed the Lord to rescue them and to save them. I'm sure that's the way those young boys felt.
I need the Lord to guide me every day as I travel along this narrow way. By no affliction, they flood my soul, but I'm determined to reach my goal. I said I got to have Jesus, or I just can't make it by myself. Don't you know I need the Lord? I need him to guide me every day as I travel along this narrow way. Though affliction, they flood my soul, but I am determined to reach my goal. I said I got to have Jesus, or I just can't make it by myself. Every day I just pray, I pray, I pray that the Lord, my Jesus, won't leave me by myself. No, every second, every minute, every hour of the day, through the weeks, through the months, through the years come and May. I got to have Jesus, or I just can't make it by myself. Every day I just pray on my knees and I pray, I pray that the Lord, my Jesus, won't leave me by myself. No, every second, every minute, every hour of the day, through the weeks, through the months, through the years, come with me. I've got to have Jesus, for I just can't make it by myself. I've got to have Jesus, or I just can't make it by myself. I got to have Jesus. 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 I got to have Jesus.
This hour is brought to you by Peluso Microphone Lab. The Peluso line of custom vacuum tube condenser, solid state condenser, and ribbon microphones brings the very best in vintage sound to new life. The sound renowned for clarity, detail, and warmth.
If you want to sound the best, you can do so with Peluso. If you want to stand out from the rest, you can do so with Peluso. If you want the neatest, deepest, cleanest, meanest, keenest, meanest, neatest, if you want the sound that's the best around, you can do so with Peluso. Do so with Peluso. Do so with Peluso. Do so with Peluso.
New from Hogtown Records, it's Bill and the Bells with Jingles All the Way. A double-sided platter of your favorite commercial jingles from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Oh, listen to those bells. Jingle, jangle, jingle their way through your childhood, which you spent on the couch, watching television, for 8 straight hours every day after school. Who can resist singing along with classic jingles like...
Oh, I'd love to be an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I'd truly like to be. 'Cause if I were an Oscar Mayer wiener, everyone would be in love with me.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not an Oscar Mayer wiener. Well, that is what I'd never like to be. 'Cause if I were an Oscar Mayer wiener, then there would soon be nothing left of me.
Oh, I'd like to be an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I'd truly like to be. 'Cause if I were an Oscar Mayer wiener, everyone would be in love with me.
And if you're full of baloney, how about a little Alka-Seltzer?
You worked too hard, you ate too much, the cheesecake made you greedy. Let your aching head and stomach hear this message from old Speedy. Alka-Seltzer, plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Those speedy bubbles relieve your upset stomach and headache fast. For acid indigestion alone, Alka-Seltzer works so fast. Oh, what a relief it is. What a relief!
Now chew on this classic jingle.
Double, double your refreshment. Double, double your delightment. Oh no, single gum double freshens your mouth like double mint, double mint. Come on and double it, double mint gum.
Ah, Bill and the Bells, 2 scoops of jingle-licious fun.
It's raisins that make post-raisin bran so wonderful. It's raisins that make post-raisin bran so different. It's raisins that make post-raisin bran so raisiny. More raisins, lots more raisins than you've ever seen before. If you like raisins, fat, juicy raisins, you'll like post-raisin bran more. Yes, if you like raisins, fat, juicy raisins, you'll like post-raisin bran more.
What's the matter? Cat got your song? Bill and the Bells. Get jingles all the way and relive the highlights of your childhood, one cheesy, meaty, fizzy, minty, raisiny commercial at a time. And now, from Johnson City, Tennessee, more from Bill and the Bells.
Thank you, everybody. I met you in a garden of an old Kentucky town. The sun was shining down. You wore a gingham gown. I kissed you as I placed a yellow tulip in your hair. On my coat you pinned a rose so rare. Time has not changed your love to me. You're just as sweet to me. I love you, yet I can't forget the days that used to be. When you wore a tulip, a sweet yellow tulip, and I wore a big red rose. It was when you caressed me, it was then heaven blessed me. What a blessing no one knows. You made life cheery when you called me dearie. It was down where the bluegrass grows. Your lips were sweeter than julep when you wore a tulip, and I wore a big red rose. A sweet yellow tulip, and I wore a big red rose. It was when you caressed me, it was then heaven blessed me. What a blessing no one knows. You made life cheery when you called me dearie. It was down where the bluegrass grows. Your lips were sweeter than julep when you wore a tulip, and I wore a big red rose. Thank you, friends. We are Bill and the Bells. So pleased to be back here for the Floyd radio show. We love coming to Floyd. I think this is our third time coming back in the last year or so. So we always love seeing familiar faces here, and of course love coming to the store. We're gonna play you a couple songs here. This next one is a beautiful old love song. This is a happy marriage song. It's called "The Swallertail Coat," and it goes like this. Gonna rig myself up in a swallowtail coat with a jingle in my pocket and a song in my throat. Gonna hold my head high, 'cause my honey's replied. Put a million rainbows in the sky. We'll go honeymooning in the morning, we'll go honeymooning in the evening. Gonna count the minutes till the dawning, then I'll sing loud, 'cause I'll be rigged up in a swallowtail coat with a jingle in my pocket and a song in my throat. When the preacher says rise, and yes and honeymooning in the evening. Gonna count the minutes till the dawning. Then I'll sing loud, 'cause I'll be rigged up in a swallowtail coat, with the jingle in my pocket and a song in my throat. Gonna hold my head high, 'cause my honey's replied. Put a million billion rainbows in the sky. Deep dum, deep deep dum, ba deep dum, ba deep dum, deep dum. Thank you. It's one of the happiest tunes we know. We'll go from a happy wedding tale to a more realistic one.
This is 7 years later.
This is 7 years later. That's a good way to put it. This is an old blues number called Promise Me Everything Blues.
Oh, 1, 2.
Look here, man, do you understand? We've been married 7 years.
Yes, and all we got when we tied that knot was a whole lot of troubles and tears.
You stay out all night, then get up and fight.
Baby, please don't talk that way.
The things you promised me, I just never see.
Now you be careful just what you say.
I got the promise me everything, never get anything blues. I surely am disgusted.
He knows I'm coming home at 8.
3 or 4 hours late blues. So now you're always bluffing.
You an awful lot.
Oh, I know it, an awful lot I never got. There's a game you're playing.
That's a game I recall.
Yes, but you don't play fair, you just change it all.
You know I promised you such and such.
And I'll get those nothing much blues. I guess that you know the reason.
Baby, quit making such a fuss.
Well, I got no soles on my shoes, and my poor feet are freezing.
When we were wed, I said, a carriage we must get.
But we're married 7 years, and I haven't seen it yet. Got to promise me everything, never get anything blues.
Last Christmas Day, I bought you a clock.
Yes, but the very next day, you put that clock in hock.
I promised you this, you know I promised you that.
But I've never seen no sense than just half of that.
I promised you gold, now ain't that the truth?
All the gold that I've got is right here, in my tooth.
A swell evening gown I bought you, ain't that right?
Evening gown you bought me, I wear to bed every night.
No, I promised you such and such.
And I'll get those nothing much blues. I still am disgusted.
Wearing last winter's hat and cloak.
I'm wearing bags on my shoes, 'cause they're all torn and busted.
Last week I got some fur to trim your coat and hat.
Yes, I got your fur, but all the neighbors miss their cat.
I got to promise me everything, never get anything blues. Thank you, folks. Folks, please welcome back to the stage the Earl White String Band.
Okay, let's try this again. Down South Blues. Well, I'm going to the station. I'm gonna catch the fastest train that goes. 'Cause I'm going down south, where the weather it suits my clothes. 99 pair of shoes, 'cause I'm broken hearted. I got those down south blues. Well, my mama, she told me, and my papa, he told me too. Don't you go out rambling, let those girls make a fool out of you. Yes, I'm going to the station. I'm gonna catch the fastest train that goes, 'cause I'm going down south, where the weather it suits my clothes. Yep. Thank you. This is a tune called Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek, thank you.
And this hour is also brought to you by the Hotel Floyd.
Come spend the night at Hotel Floyd, a wonderful place to stay. Come spend the week at Hotel Floyd, where the furniture's all handmade. Come spend the month at Hotel Floyd, you know you'll have it made. Hotel Floyd, wonderful place to sleep. Whether you're just coming to or passing through, spend the night at Hotel Floyd. People always assume that I'm Bill. Yeah, we are Bill and the Bells, but there's no Bill. Just like there was no guy named Floyd in the band. Pink Floyd. No Derek and the Dominoes. And everybody knows that Justin Bieber is just a cruel figment of a diseased, fevered dream. Not a real person, thank goodness.
But there was a Bill, and he was a bit, how would you describe him?
He was a nut job.
Yeah, Bill was okay. He liked to play his bells around Johnson City, and some of you might have heard the story about how he wanted to be in our band. I mean, he really wanted to be in our band and to just play his bells.
And that's why we had to lure him into the woods and leave him there.
We're not proud of it.
So this one goes out to Bill and his bells, wherever they are.
What?
I hear him.
Oh, no.
His bells.
Hey guys!
Oh my God.
How's it going?
It's Bill.
And his bells.
I've kind of been looking for you guys. You'll never guess what happened to me. Oh no, I guess we probably wouldn't. So I followed the sound of the bells deep into the dark woods. They were tinkling and jangling and clanging. It was awesome. I went after the bells, and then silence. Nothing.
You don't say.
I walked all over the woods looking for bells, and I finally heard the bells on the breeze. Bells on the breeze. Bells were everywhere. And I find an evergreen tree standing in front of a house. Some joker had already put up his Christmas decorations. Oh. Bells were everywhere, on trees, tiny stuffed reindeer, on Prancer and Dancer, and all those other ones. I took the bells and I set out on a journey.
Okay, so why are you in Floyd?
Well, I came to Floyd looking for that singer. You guys know I'm really into lots of different kinds of music, and I was looking for Pink Floyd. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. I know he likes bells in his songs. Bells, I mean, Dark Side of the Bells and Another Bell in the Wall, and Comfortably Rung has always been one of my favorites. And I thought, surely I'd find him here in Floyd.
You thought Pink Floyd lived in Floyd?
Because the town's name is Floyd.
Even though there's no Floyd in Pink Floyd?
And no Pink Floyd in Floyd?
Well, yeah, it was worth a shot, right? Well, anyway, I saw a sign outside this place, and you know what it said?
What?
Bill and the Bells. And my old comrades, it's so great to see you guys. I've really, my time in the band with you guys was really probably the best years of my life.
Well, it's good to see you, Bill. But we're live on the stage right now, and we got a show to do.
Oh, hi. Yeah, the stage. Well, I love being on the stage with you guys. You mind if you know what? Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can actually stay. You see, I found a new job.
Job doing what?
I'm gonna be the bell ringer for the Salvation Army. It's gonna be awesome. It's November, and I mean it's almost Christmas actually. So I probably need to go.
Oh, Bill, that's great. It sounds like you really found your calling.
It's might be the right gig for me. I just stand there ringing my bells and all day long, and my bells, and then I have these other bells that I can ring all day long. My bells all day long, bells all day long, my bells all day long, bells all day long. Do you know what that does to a person?
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Well, it actually just makes them happy. I mean, happy to help the little boys and girls around the holidays. Happy for me. Happy for you guys. It's great. I mean, for the kids. It's just.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear it for Bill, everybody. Bill and his bells. Oh, we sure missed Bill. All right, speaking of bells, we'll get Bill and the Bells to sing a song for you. We've got Grace Van Hoff here, everybody, on the banjo and on the ukulele. And Kalia Yagel on the fiddle. Carl Zerfus on the bass. My name is not Bill, and this song here is called Where the Shy Little Violets Grow. 3, 4. In my dreams of childhood, all the world seemed fair. When I see a wild wood, flowers everywhere. When the twilight shadows bring their sweet regret, then I wander back again amid the violet. I've been making up my mind to find a place that I used to know, by the old Ohio where the shy little violets grow. I've been waking up to find I'm dreaming dreams of long, long ago, by the old Ohio where the shy little violets grow. I'd like to find a little trail, a little winding trail, a house on a hill. Find somebody who is longing to be true, and I know she's waiting there still. When I look into her eyes, they tell me what I'm longing to know. By the old Ohio where the shy little violets grow. Find a little trail, a little winding trail, a house on a hill. Find somebody who is longing to be true, and I know she's waiting there still. When I look into her eyes, they tell me what I'm longing to know. By the old Ohio where the shy little violets grow. Oh, oh. Thank you, friends. It's called Where the Shy Little Violets Grow. We love that great old tune. We've been doing a lot of kind of early pop music recently, and I've had kind of some great experiences playing with some chamber orchestras. We just did a show back in Bristol with the Johnson City Symphony, and we're trying to do that a bit more, but working with a whole bunch of strings and doing some kind of highly arranged stuff. And this next song is a perfect example of what that doesn't sound like. So next one is called Sit at Home.
Sit at home, the telephone don't ring anymore. Oh, now why should I cry over you? You-do-do-do. Low and lonely, sad and blue, sitting here, baby, just thinking about you. Oh, now why should I cry over you? Dawn, it's true, with someone new. I hope you get along. Oh, as I sit and cry over you. Do-do-do-do.
Oh, get it now, Grace.
Misty eyes full of tears, trying to forget you, but it's gonna take years. So now why should I cry over you? Do-do-do-do. Sit at home, baby, by the telephone, blue and lonely, darling, waiting all alone. Oh, now I'm wondering why should I ever cry over you? Do-do-do-do. Low and lonely, honey, and I'm sad and blue, sitting here, baby, just thinking about you. Oh, now why you go away, should leave me lonely and blue? Gone away and let me find someone new. I hope you're satisfied that she loves you too. Oh, as I'm wondering why I ever cried over you. Do-do-do-do. My eyes are misty, full of tears, trying to forget you, but it's gonna take years. So now why you go away, leave me lonely? Oh, that's why you go away, leave me lonely and blue.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we'll get you a good one. But as it gets chillier, I feel like this is a perfect song to play. It feels fondly like fall. Hallelujah. And we're gonna get you one called "Settin' by the Fire." I always thought this was kind of a Christmas, like, holiday tune, but I found out I was dead wrong, and it's actually a cowboy stuck in the desert kind of song.
Let's go with winter holiday, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah.
Cowboy Christmas.
There we go. There we go. Oh, 1, 2.
Sitting by the fire, just my old hound dog and me. We're as happy as a bee, toasting knees, scratching fleas, nothing to worry about. Unless the doggone fire goes out, I'll throw on a log for me and my dog, sitting by the fire. Some people's craving keeps them a slaving, saving every dollar bill. And then when they're buried, the kids all get married, start to fighting over the will. I don't have to grieve about the dough I'm going to leave. ain't got a dime to bother my mind, sitting by the fire. Everyone says I'm lazy, it suits me to a T. Cause if everyone knows I'm lazy, they won't expect so much out of me. Never had no ambition to be called a millionaire, so I'd never spend my time wishing, sitting in my old rocking chair. Some people's craving keeps them a slaving, saving every dollar bill. And then when they're buried, the kids all get married and start to fighting over the will. I don't have to grieve about the dough I'm going to leave. I ain't got a dime to bother my mind, sitting by the fire, sitting by the fire.
Folks, please make welcome a remnant of men of distinction.
When Beth first talked to us and gave us a copy of the book about the Muse Brothers, and we discovered that we would be singing some music, one of the songs that came to my heart was the thought of them being away from their mother and the feeling that that brings. If any of you have ever been away from your mother for a long period of time, or if any of you have ever lost your mother, you'll understand this song. It's called Motherless Child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. A long way from home. A long way from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. A long way from home, a long way from home.
We tune because we know it matters to you.
Yes, yes. Well said. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna find a better home. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna find a better home. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, ain't gonna turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna find a better home. Ain't gonna let no races turn me around. Ain't gonna turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no races turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna find a better home. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Ain't gonna turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'll keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna find a better home. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Ain't gonna turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'll keep on walking, keep on talking, keep on singing, keep on shouting, keep on hoping, keep on believing, keep on walking, keep on talking, keep on singing, shouting, keep on shouting, keep on hoping, believing, keep on believing, gonna find a better home.
This last piece features our tenor, Marvin Fields. And this song is also a song of determination. It's called Hold On Just a Little While Longer. And you will hear the riffs and the sounds of the Southern African-American music, the moans, the groans, and all of those things. And just sit back, close your eyes, and just listen to Marvin.
Hold on, Just a little while longer. Hold on. Just a little while longer. Hold on. Just a little while longer. And everything will be all right. Hold on. Just a little while longer. Hold on. Just a little while longer. Oh, hold on. Just a little while longer. And everything will be all right. Pray on. Hey. Just a little while longer. Pray on. Just a little while longer. Pray on. Just a little while longer. And everything will be all right. Sing on. Yeah. Just a little while longer. Sing on. Just a little while longer. Sing on. Oh, Lord. Just a little while longer. And everything will be all right. And everything will be all right. And everything will, oh Lord, it will be all right, oh Lord.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now we want to bring to the stage Beth again, the lady who has brought a true story to light and is sweeping for all of the people who are a part of it. And the word is out and people are talking and singing and shouting and crying and rejoicing that a story that has been untold for so long is being told. Beth.
Thank you so much, Fletcher. And I wanted to thank Dylan Locke for, Fletcher and I have been friends for a long time. Our sons play music together. They're both stand-up bass players. And it was Dylan's idea to bring us together on this project. And I just want to thank you, Dylan. So the book ends, or so I thought it would end, with the youngest brother's death in 2001. He was 108 years old. And my editor read it and had some suggestions, but his main suggestion at the end was he wanted a little bit more. He said there needs to be something between that and the last part of the book. So I wrote this. There was a lot going on, as you all know, and there's still a lot going on in America. It's called Markers. The trains still pass by Jordan's Alley, and that's the neighborhood where the Muse family lived in 1927 for a number of decades when Harriet Muse found the boys and brought them home. Their cars still brimming with coal, though the fuel in many of them is now destined for markets overseas. The ones that head south roll past the site of the old fairgrounds, the spot where in 1927 an illiterate washerwoman, the daughter of slaves, managed to find and claim her long-gone sons, even though she was the wrong color, in the wrong neighborhood, on the wrong side of the law. Harriet Muse's bravery remains unmarked in Jordan's Alley, and it goes unrecognized here, just south of downtown, where the trains now parallel a 13-mile greenway path meant to connect the various Roanoke Valley communities, provide outdoor recreation, and in so doing, attract new industry to the region to replace the waning influence of the railroad and of coal. Riding my bike on the Roanoke River Greenway path in 2015, I paralleled the passing trains, too. I passed dog walkers and runners, young and old, black and white. It's one of the rare places in Roanoke where the racial makeup actually reflects the diversity of the city census count, down to the immigrant soccer league playing Sunday mornings across the street. My friend Zior, a refugee from Liberia, comes to watch her sons play on those fields. She said, "We were never called black people before until we moved here," she said, tapping into Americans' innate and unconscious belief in the reality of race as unequivocal divider, our history of categorizing human beings as immutably black or white before we even know their names. It's 1 year after Ferguson, 50 years after the Watts riots, 150 years since the end of the Civil War. In the past year, 32 states have enforced new voter identification requirements that disproportionately disenfranchise poor and minority voters, and 26 unarmed black men have been fatally shot by police across the United States of America. Even Atticus Finch, it turns out, wasn't the progressive lawyer we thought he was. On the Greenway, near the old fairgrounds where Harriet got her sons back, and near the new medical school, I ride over a freshly scrawled graffiti bomb on the asphalt. Someone has spray painted, "Slavery is over." I think of Nancy's young cousin, the auburn-haired Erica Turner, when I see it. That would be Willie Muse's great niece. She has cried, imagining the travails of her great-great-great-uncle Willie and his brother George. When she cries, Erica tells me, her hazel eyes turn green. A rising senior at Roanoke County High School, she's one of a handful of African Americans, occasionally the only one in her advanced classes. When riots broke out in Baltimore her junior year, her classmates criticized the protesters and looters, asking, "What's the sense in them burning businesses? What does that prove?" The course was psychology, and Erica, one of 3 blacks in that class, pointed out that the riots were not happening in a vacuum. They're precipitated not only by police killings, but also by a government-sanctioned history of violence, discrimination, and injustice as old as the country itself. But this is a conversation that most white people, if suburban classrooms and Greenway graffiti are to be believed, do not wish to have. More than half of white Americans think the country spends too much time talking about race, while just 18% of black Americans do. In July 2015, I'm driving Nancy, the brother's great niece and their caregiver, to the cemetery where Willie Muse is buried. She tells me she's inspired by my account of her great-grandmother's efforts to make the circus pay for her son's work. She said, "I lost track of how many times she had to take those circus men to court. And if she was like that back then with no education, just think what she might be like today. She was bad." There's just one problem with the facts as I've assembled them, she says, and it's big. I do not, and I will not, believe that Harriet let her children go off with no circus, she says. As a mother, that was all she had to cling to, her children and her Christ. I remind her about the Billboard magazine notice Harriet took out with the help of Anna Clark. I remind her of the initial 1927 newspaper coverage of the case in which Harriet was said to have contracted to let her sons leave with the mysterious Mr. Stokes. She reminds me of the institutional racism exhibited by countless publications during the Jim Crow era, of the Roanoke Times' mocking attempt to capture the family's voice, quote, for anxious and beseeching words from the lips of their, quote, old mammy who yo all ain't seen for all these years, without ever actually quoting anyone named Muse. She reminds me of the story that Willie himself told about a man luring him and his brother into the back of his wagon with a piece of candy. I ask if Willie had used the word kidnapped. No, she snaps. His word was stolen. I'm not questioning what you found, Nancy says. I'm telling you how I feel about it, based on the love and connection that Uncle Willie had with his mama. What exactly transpired between Harriet Muse and an itinerant showman in the summer of 1914 will probably never be known. After drilling down more rabbit holes than I can count, I've had to settle for an imperfect and incomplete storyline, uncertain, but for its ripple-free reflections on memory, power, and race. It's late afternoon and 90 degrees, the sky so cerulean the Blue Ridge Mountains are visible for miles in every direction. We enter the gates of the cemetery where Willie's buried, which holds more than 20,000 graves, many of them Roanoke's earliest black rail workers and domestics, still housed in unofficial segregation like most of the people in the surrounding neighborhood. In one of the cemetery's oldest sections, the physician I.D. Barrell, the man who died on the train to Washington after Roanoke's white hospitals refused to admit him in 1914, is buried beneath a tall granite obelisk. 3 of the city's 5 Tuskegee Airmen are buried nearby with dignified headstones, including a pair of brothers who joined the elite group of African-American military pilots. We pass the cinder block cemetery office, and near a cluster of stately hickory trees, Nancy points to the section with Willie's grave. She comes here several times a year, before Christmas, on his birthday, on Mother's Day, when she also visits the graves of her mother, Dot, who died in 2004, and her grandmother, Annie Bell, who died in 1983. Crabgrass creeps over the right side of the granite marker, which is flush with the ground, and dried clippings lie heaped on one side. Willie Muse, the bronze marker says in raised capital letters, and beneath an outline of praying hands, it reads, God is good to me. It was what he said, it was his hello. He said it to everyone he greeted. A week later, we return, this time during office hours. We need help paying our respects to the unmarked graves created before the family could afford memorial niceties. George's grave in 1972 and Harriet's in 1942. Cemetery employees only know exactly where George is buried, since records before 1952 were not retained when the cemetery changed hands decades ago. Nancy didn't realize Harriet was buried here too until I found her death certificate earlier in the summer. Groundskeeper Brian Nichols takes us to the far edge of an area referred to as the space graves, the humble, unnamed section behind the office where people were buried in order as their bodies arrived, one next to the other in largely unmarked graves, and typically nowhere near the relatives. We walk out to this section he figures was dug in July 1942 when their mother Harriet died. If you look closely down the row, he shows us, you can make out the indentations where the ground is sunken in just so. The outline of the graves is straight and rectangular as a set of xylophone keys. And the groundskeeper asked us, is it true he used to play tunes on a plastic string guitar and you could tell what songs he was playing? Yes, and Willie could also play songs using a range of notes he created solely by snapping his fingers. In the car, we put in Willie's homemade recording, now converted from cassette to CD, and in his later years, he made recordings of the songs that he and his brother Georgie had played in the circus. And like an oral apparition, there he is, his a cappella baritone steady and clear. I replay the CD after I drop Nancy off. As I cross the 10th Street Bridge over the railroad tracks, I make my way back to Jordan's Alley, that name only rarely crossing the lips of the area's oldest residents. The new Habitat houses here are vinyl-sided and modest. A few have posted no trespassing signs. Their backyards are so deep they've erased all traces of the red clay road that once passed for 10.5 Street. Lodged between two backyard chain link fences is the only visible remnant of the family's home at number 19. A scrubby, half-dead mulberry tree, a tangle of ivy and periwinkle rooted at its base. I snap a few pictures, pick up a single lichen-covered mulberry twig, and return to my car. The rail yard still clatters in the distance, but it's barely audible over the music of Willie Muse, and he's singing, "It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go." It's the Irish war ballad of all things that sticks with him the longest. A song with the power to summon, with pride and astonishment, the memory and the bravery of his dear old mother under a sideshow tent. Thank you.
It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, my piccalilli, farewell, the square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, and the sweetest girl I know. Farewell to Piccadilly, goodbye Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, and the sweetest girl I know. Farewell to Piccadilly, goodbye Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, and the sweetest girl I know. Farewell to Piccadilly, goodbye Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there.
Thank you to Beth. Folks, that wraps up this evening. We hope that you really enjoyed the show. Don't forget, Beth has copies of True Vine, and she'll be doing a signing back there, as well as all the bands have CDs, and they would appreciate your support. We thank you so much for being out here and coming out and supporting Floyd Country Store and the Floyd Radio Hour. We're going to welcome back the Earl White String Band to help take us out. And Bill and the Bells, and on behalf of the Floyd Radio Show and the Floyd Country Store, we thank you for listening to the Floyd Radio Show. Big thanks to Beth Macy, remnant men of distinction in the Earl White String Band and Bill in the Bells. This concludes the November 2016 Floyd Radio Show. The Floyd Radio Show is brought to you in part by Hotel Floyd, Chateau Morissette Wines, and Peluso Microphones. The Floyd Radio Show is a production of the Floyd Country Store and is written by Rob Laprelle and Ralph Barrier. Contributions from our guests and hosts. Live audio by Joseph DeJarnette and post-production editing and mixing at Studio 808A. To subscribe, listen to other episodes, or get more information, please visit us online at floydradioshow.com or floydcountrystore.com. Our featured recordings this month are live at Music City Roots with Bill and the Bells, the Earl White String Band self-titled record, and the best of the Floyd Radio Show, the first 5 years. Thanks again for listening, and please join us next month for December's 2016 Floyd Radio Show, when Ralph Barrier Jr. hosts the Floyd Radio Show with special guests Java Brothers and the New Ballards Branch Bogtrotters.